We will start. Good evening. St. Charles Planning Commission, begin, call to order. Colleen Visa, Zach Ewald. Here. Jeff Funk.
Here.
Barry Gruber.
Here.
John Fitzgerald.
Here.
Corey Jones.
Here.
Rita Payleitner.
Here.
I'd just like to acknowledge Jones' first meeting, and so thank you for joining us, and we'll appreciate all of your input as it relates to our community. We'd like to have Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Presentation of the meeting minutes from our February 3rd meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Second. Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 5, Traditions of St. Charles Springs at 38 West. This is a concept plan submitted by Leo Brown Group and Richard Commons PUD property. The purpose of our concept plan is to review and allow the applicant to obtain informal input on a conceptual development prior to filing formal applications and preparing all the detailed drawings. The concept plan process also serves as a forum for citizens and neighboring property owners to ask questions and express their views on this potential project. The procedure for tonight will be to start with staff comments, followed by applicant's presentation, and then we'll have the Plan Commission ask questions that they have. Then members of the public, if they wish to speak, we give them a chance, and then finally, Plan Commission members, after all of that, will provide final feedback. The Plan Commission does not take any action to approve or deny the project at this stage. After this meeting, the concept plan will be discussed at the City Council Committee of the Whole on Monday the 16th. If the applicant decides to pursue the project, zoning applications will need to be filed, and a public hearing will be held, and notice will be provided to adjacent property owners. If anyone wishes to speak, please be recognized by me, then stand at the lectern, state your name, spell your last name, and state your address for the record. Staff, thank you.
This item is a concept plan for the 29-acre property known as Richard Commons, located on the south side of Route 38 west of the Meyer store. The concept plan has been submitted by Leo Brown Group, proposed as a two-part development consisting of a senior living facility called Traditions of St. Charles and a multifamily apartment community called Springs at 38 West. The property is zoned BR Regional Business and is within the Richard Commons PUD. If the developer decides to move forward after concept review, applications for zoning map amendment, special use for PUD, and PUD preliminary plan will need to be submitted to entitle the project. I will now turn it over to the applicant for their presentation.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Austin Dempsey. That's Dempsey. Address 141st Street in Batavia, Illinois. And I'm honored to be here tonight, especially for your first meeting. There's a very famous saying, and I think we've all heard of it. If you don't succeed, try again, correct? Well, for over 30 years, our family has been part of the representation group of the underlying ownership for this property. And in that period of time, there have been probably nearly a dozen or so attempts at developing the 29-acre parcel that we're discussing here this evening. Two that were mentioned in the staff comments was the 2006 initiative by then partner Lifetime Fitness, where they tried to develop the 250 residential site, 250 residential housing units on the site. And actually, That's a good story because part of what we're going to be seeking here is the unwinding of a PUD that, for a project that never happened in 2006. And then most recently, in front of this commission, was the Lennar-Katerra development, one of the nation's largest home builders who took a shot at this project with nearly 400 apartments on the site, only to have to pull the proposal and walk away due to the high development costs and market conditions. The unfortunate reality, like everything else in life, development is getting more difficult and more expensive, and our next applicant, my good friend John here from Kensington, will probably concur with that. But for this project, you know, when we have had so many projects come to the table and not move forward, we decided we wanted to try something different. We took a different tact. We met with the mayor and Derek Connolly right here, actually downstairs in the mayor's office, and we asked, what do you want to see on this site? How do you want to see this site developed? And I'm paraphrasing, but generally speaking, it was, we're looking for a mix of residential uses that are complementary to the surrounding development. But one thing that really kind of stuck was we want to try to have a development that brings forward residential housing across the board that helps all of our St. Charles residents. And that's why I'm very excited, because the project that we're proposing tonight accomplishes this goal by developing a 29-acre campus that supports independent lifestyles while providing specialty care and housing for all of our St. Charles residents, especially with the senior component, the residents who are St. Charles residents that want to remain in their community and age in place. Why is this going to be different than any project that has come before this group before, especially most recently, one of the nation's largest home builders? Well, it's because, like all things, our industry, real estate development, is evolving. It continues to evolve. We recently participated in a development in Aurora where we brought 3 different independent builders together, all bringing their special niche to the property to be able to do something and share the cost to basically make development that would normally be impossible possible. And tonight, the team that we've assembled is using that same model. We have 2 developers with us, both of whom are gold standards in their industry. The first developer, Leo Brown Group, are exceptional developers of senior housing and skilled care. While this is their first project in St. Charles, they completed an amazing skilled nursing facility in Batavia last year and had an amazing grand opening. They're represented here this evening by Kevin C., a managing director and partner, as well as Chris King, Leo Brown's chief financial officer. Also tonight, we have Brett Duffy, an engineer from Spaceco. And the second developer is Continental Properties, whom you're very familiar with. They have a successful award-winning project on the east side of St. Charles. This national builder is represented here with members of their team, Demi Close, okay, John Gussie, and their director of development, Jen Patton, who is here to dive into the design of this thoughtfully planned community. Jen.
Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening. Thank you for having us here tonight. Again, thank you, Austin. My name is Jen Patton. I'm Development Director with Continental Properties. Last name Patton. Our address is W134 N8675 Executive Parkway in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. I'm going to shoot to the next slide here. Do I just click?
You should be able to just click or use the arrow.
Arrow. Oh, that arrow. Nope.
There you go. There you go. Now the arrow button works.
Okay. All right. I'm going to start off tonight. Most of you are familiar with Continental Properties, as we do have our sister community here, Springs at St. Charles off of Smith Road. But brief Continental experience and who we are. National multifamily developer, owner, and operator. We have 139 developed communities nationally, 38,000 homes built to date in 20 states. 3,900 of those homes are here in Illinois, either under construction, in lease-up, or stabilized. Chicago is our largest market in our portfolio. All of our projects are conventionally financed with private equity partners. The map on the left shows 14 of our Illinois communities that are stabilized, under construction, or in lease-up. Springs at St. Charles and the list on the right. 320 units in that community, started in 2022, and we're happy to say is now fully stabilized. A few other communities in our Illinois portfolio to note are some communities currently under construction. We have our Springs at Lake Cook Crossing in Deerfield, Springs at Mundelein, Springs at Aurora, and Springs at Lockport. A brief overview of the property details. The community, or the Continental property parcel is 22.2 acres. We have a stormwater outlet that will be retained by Continental with a shared maintenance agreement with the Traditions property and Leo Brown Group. The lot is currently vacant farmed land, zoned BR Regional District. The primary access for the Continental property in Springs community is off of Illinois Route 38 via an access easement agreement just south of Metro Self-Storage. Getting into some of the details of the site plan, this site consists of 14 residential buildings. We have 2 3-story buildings, which are 33 units each, and 12 2-story buildings, 20 units each, totaling 306 homes. We have an offering of surface parking, attached garages, and detached garages, totaling 569 total parking stalls at about a 1.86 stalls per home ratio. Amenities on site include a 4,600 square foot clubhouse with resort style pool. One of our newer amenities that we are providing here and proposing here is a multi-purpose sport court for pickleball or other activities. We have 2 pet playgrounds, our ground building, which houses our car care center, and also a pet wash there, and a parcel package room for residents who receive packages. Our trash enclosure with compactor, and then the detention you can see off on the southwest end of the site. Site circulation, as you can see highlighted in yellow, we have a robust network of sidewalk and pedestrian connectivity throughout the community. The number 1 indicates our new full movement access point proposed along Illinois 38, which will require IDOT approval. The 2 is for the Springs community access south of the Metro Self-Storage, and that is within an existing access easement. 3 is our gated entry to the Springs. Much like our Springs at St. Charles, we are proposing for this community to be gated. But as we did in the PUD for Springs at St. Charles, we're looking at providing concessions to keep those gates open for specific periods of time through the day. And then our emergency-only access on the north end between the Continental property and the Traditions property. This is some photographs of some of our 2- and 3-story buildings to give an idea of the different color palettes that we've offered throughout our Springs communities. You can see we have private patios and balconies, a lot of large windows for natural light. Materials would be hardy board, cementitious siding, board and batten. And you can see we have an undulating facade here in our elevations. Interior design, we have 28 studios here, 124 1- and 2-bedroom units, and then 33 bedrooms with the square footages shown in the boxes in the middle. Some photographs on the right to show some photos of our interiors. Some of the key design elements for our interiors, private and semi-private entries, private balconies and patios. All of our units have in-unit washers and dryers with high efficiency and energy efficiency appliances, open concept plans, and ample closet space. Community amenities, I mentioned some of these when I was talking through the site plan, but in addition to the spacious clubhouse, we do have a 24-hour fitness center. Our clubhouse houses a coffee bar, an indoor cafe area. We have our pickleball and multi-purpose sport court here. resort-style pool with sun deck. The sun deck also has outdoor grills for residents to use. Our clubhouse is available for residents to reserve for their own personal and private events with our operations and property management team, and then our leash-free pet parks. Our car care center offers an amenity to residents where they can go and wash and vacuum out their car. There's also a pet wash station there, so residents can give their dogs a bath and not have to do that within their residential units. These are some photos of our community amenities. The photo to the just to the right of the Springs box, that's our grounds building, car care center, fitness center, clubhouse, and then our pool. In conclusion, just a few of the community benefits we feel that the Springs at 38 West will bring to the city of St. Charles. Approximately $85 million in total investment into the city, hundreds of construction jobs and permanent jobs, significant ongoing property tax revenue to the city, 306 new rental homes serving young professionals. 40 to 50% of our residents are young professionals ages 20 to 34. We have empty nesters, and then those who are looking to downsize, seeking maintenance-free living. We feel our communities attract high-income residents with disposable spending power, and look forward to our residents continuing to support the retail here in St. Charles and continuing our partnership with you all. With that, I will be here for questions, and then I will open it up to our partners from Leo Brown to finalize the rest of this presentation.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris King with Leo Brown Group. I'm our CFO, last name King, K-I-N-G. Our address is 12411 North Pennsylvania Street, Carmel, Indiana, Suite 300. Today we're here to talk about our senior living community that we're working on in St. Charles called Traditions of St. Charles. Leo Brown Group is based in Carmel, Indiana, northern suburb of Indianapolis. We've been around for 20 years, focused primarily on senior living, multifamily housing, and skilled nursing development. We're a vertically integrated company, so we not only develop, but we also construct and manage our communities. We have about 1,600 employees across our 25 communities that we operate today. Although we have no experience operating in Illinois today, we have developed two other recent projects in Illinois, including the Ignite Medical Resort of Batavia, which just opened last year. Here's a map of our current communities. We obviously have a heavy regional presence in Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan, and we're excited to expand into Illinois as our next growth market. It's an operationally intensive business, so having scale in a state and market is important to our team. We came across the St. Charles market while working on the Batavia project. Obviously, it's an excellent city, and we're excited to be a part of it. We ended up ordering a market study in July, and it noted that there's going to be a 22% increase in those over 75 between now and 2030, which is a staggering growth rate. The study indicated we need about 100 more independent living units, 300 more assisted living units, and 92 more memory care units to support the growing demand that the community was going to expect. Here is a site plan of what we are proposing to be constructed. This is in line with our typical community style with a full continuum of care age-in-place community. So we're offering independent living, assisted living, and memory care all in the same community. So if someone moves in, they can expect to stay there for the remainder of their life or until they wish to leave. As you can see, the independent living's near the front of the site and a 3-story component, and that'll be a mix of 1- and 2-bedroom units. The common amenity space is connected to all 3 wings of the building, as well as there's a kitchen in the middle area. Assisted living is predominantly in one-bedroom units, but we will also offer studio and two-bedroom units to have different lifestyle spaces for individuals. And then the memory care will be contained in a secure, safe unit that will offer activities and meals. And overall, we're going to have 69 independent living units, 64 assisted living, and 34 memory care units on our 7.3-acre parcel of the site. We really like the proximity to the retail here, as seniors typically don't like to drive very far, so it's a nice feature being that close to the Meijer. It'd be safer for the community overall, and for visitors as well. Usually when mom and dad are out, or their kids are out shopping and they want to pop by and see mom and dad, it's convenient when it's near a larger shopping center. Here are some illustrations or images of some of our communities that we've developed, just to give you an idea of the quality of our buildings. A lot of brick, a lot of hardy plank and masonry throughout, focused on nice design aesthetics built to the community. So we usually tailor those finishes to meet the local character of the community we're building in. This page displays some of the interiors of some of our recently completed projects. We'd expect a similar level of finish here. Ample amenity space and common space, as you'd expect, as we're trying to engage seniors and get them out of their units. It's probably one of our biggest features. Typically, it's about 25% of our community will be common space. The community will offer 24-hour nurse staffing. It will be staffed 24/7. About 65 full-time employees will be on site throughout the day. We'll have an emergency call system for all units, including the independent living. There'll be transportation, multiple dining options with a full-service kitchen, housekeeping staff on site, full array of activities and entertainment, a fitness center, a salon. The list goes on. But overall, very high-end Class A community, offering a wide variety of services to the residents. And in conclusion, why does the community benefit here? We're talking about a $50 million construction project, creating a workplace that will employ roughly 60 to 70 employees, full-time employees, with a payroll of around $3.5 million. This will serve your existing community of your aging seniors, allowing them to stay in the community versus having to leave and find senior housing elsewhere. That population group is going to grow by 55% in the next decade and over 100% by 2050. It'll benefit the working adult children in your community, so that they're able to continue to work versus staying at home and taking care of loved ones. And we will also be paying property taxes into the state, or into the municipality as well, and creating a great community for the city of St. Charles. I will open it up to any questions anyone has.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, Commissioner.
Yeah, I've got some questions. Regarding both, are both developments separate? Are you going to have a fence around the senior center, or are they going to be incorporated as far as utilizing the existing, the amenities?
I can start. The fence around the Springs community would be independent of that community, so it wouldn't be included with the Tradition site.
So both properties would be separated by a fence. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I have to make the introduction. I'm Kevin C., spell last name S-E-E, with Leo Brown Group. I guess by default, I wouldn't say the Traditions will be fenced in. The Continental project will probably have a fence. We'll just have controlled access with the noted gate that Jen noted on the plan, just to kind of avoid through traffic from east-west along 38 there. But there'll be a combined main entrance with an option for access to Traditions or onto Continental, onto the Springs project. So but our community isn't fully fenced in. We'll have our memory care unit. We'll have a outdoor fenced area. So.
Okay. Another question I have is, I see you have sidewalks. I mean, they seem pretty rigid around the community. I'm just wondering, is there a way that we can, incorporate some sort of nature trails or whatever? I mean, you have retention on the south side, and I don't see any pathways in that area or landscaping. I know this is a conceptual plan, but I guess you have obviously you're concentrating on, you've got two dog parks, I think. And I guess the question is that how would you access these parks? And is it possible to have, just public parks, and if you can create, a pathway that kind of incorporates all the green space around the property?
Sure. So the parks that are within and the amenities within the property are private for the residents, and that is an amenity that they do come to appreciate. As far as the nature path, the detention pond itself, there's some pretty significant grading back there. In order to put, from what we understand from our engineers, in order to put a pedestrian path around that, it wouldn't be able to be ADA accessible. We are looking and working with some partners on how we may manage some off-site park dedication, but we will be speaking with the park district on some of those details. But the open space that is currently shown on the spring site is private for the residents.
Yeah, and I guess my question is, it's just connecting all these green spaces that you have. There's a way to, you have a lot of sidewalks and things, but it seems like they're disconnected. And, if you're walking your pets, you're going to have to walk on the street or what have you to get to these dog parks. And I'm just wondering if there's a better way that you can create pathways around the community to connect these parks and, to create these accessible spaces. Okay. Something to look at.
Sure.
The other question I have is on the south side and the southeast side, you're calling for a future connection. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on there?
We can. So we are currently showing potential future connection for emergency access to the rear end of the Meyer parcel as well as to Prairie Winds. There's ongoing communication going on with both of those parties to see if that's something that they would be open to, but we would need to have a cross-access easement agreement with them in order to provide those access points.
And then my last question is the entrance to the community. I mean, it seems like it's somewhat awkward, behind the self-storage. Is there another way that you can create an entrance off of Route 38? Have you looked at that?
So that would require IDOT approval. I don't know that they would allow two access points that close in proximity to one another.
My question is, I don't know if your engineer has looked into that drive just south of the self-storage. Can that accommodate all the traffic that you have going into the development?
We have an entry proposed off of Route 38 right here that lines up with the access point directly across the street.
Okay.
It's hard to see on the print because you see the Route 38 Lincoln Highway there. So we have a proposed full access along 38, plus there's already the access point here. So we do have, double or redundant access into the site.
Okay, so that would be used by both developments then?
Yes, both developments would share both of those access points, and as it was mentioned previously, any of our southeastern access points here would be for emergency access only.
Okay, that's all I have. Thanks.
I have a few comments or questions.
Please.
The first being, I think Mr. Dempsey is correct that this site has had some difficulties. It's currently zoned commercial. We recently, most of the commissioners here I think were present for the Lennar product. I personally feel that this is a better site plan than that project proposed. I am supportive of this being considered for residential use, whether it be for market, for sale, or rental. That doesn't matter to me. I do find the senior housing aspect and then the apartment complex aspect of it to be complementary. I think it is appropriate for the overall area with Meyer, Jewel Osco, and a lot of our other commercial entities right there. So putting housing stock close by for both parties, it will prevent future driving trips. In theory, people could walk to those, or it's just a short drive. So overall, I am supportive of the concept. I do like the architecture on both of them. My one constructive criticism would be for the Continental Property Springs portion. I'd like to see a little bit of anti-monotony, meaning 2 to 3 color palettes for the buildings. That's one thing between some of the other recent projects that the city has approved. It kind of everything starts to blend in, but I think your product complements the Leo Brown architecture, but it's also contrasting in its color. So if we can see a little bit more color variety, and then just to echo what Jeff was saying is maybe look at some of the connectivity, and if maybe they're not willing to give the emergency access on the southeast side, at least a pedestrian connection, see if you can get that, because that would also help with walking routes to Meyer. Realistically, Meyer should be supportive of that because that's people that can go into their store and shop. But that's my comments for now. If you do come back, I would anticipate a good landscape plan. So, thank you.
Can you comment on, I was trying to track for emergency use, if someone had to take an ambulance into the Traditions, where the pickup point would be?
This might be more helpful.
Yeah, maybe, actually, probably. How do you go to the other slides?
Down.
I'm sorry, they would come, the main entrance would be located on this point here.
So I got it right here.
Yep. I'm sorry. Okay, you got that.
So you got Route 38, the connection point here. It comes down, and then here's the connection point across the way to the Metro self-storage. So ambulances, the main front door is right in this kind of horseshoe right there.
And there'll be a porte cochere in that area, covered.
Covered.
Yeah, probably better showed on cover the something to that effect, or let me give it represent. Yeah, photo here on the left would be something to that effect. Here are some similar examples of our entrances. You would come in, and there's where your primary access would be for emergency vehicles.
So more of a horseshoe or circular drive?
Yeah, something to that effect. Yep. Yeah, in and out.
I'm sorry, could you go back to the site plan?
Sure.
I must be misunderstanding something. You're saying that the primary entrance into the building is on the east side, not on the north side?
Right. This is our independent living wing. I'm trying to look here.
Yeah, the primary entrance is along the amenities area there.
Okay.
That is, when people come in, that's the lobby, the reception, kind of like the picture that was just shown there.
Sure.
Yes.
So it's on the east side, not on the north
side.
Yeah,
but this will be designed to where it's kind of a focal point and such, and just the directional signage would take this way.
So is the lay-by on the north side serve a function?
I'm sorry.
On the site plan? There's like a drive lane that runs east to west in front of the independent and the amenities portion, and then right in front of the amenities, the roadway drops down like towards the building, like a little lay-by pickup area. Yeah. That's not it? That's not the entry?
That could be. I'm sorry. You're probably right there. I got mixed up. So, yes, this is. I apologize. So this is kind of your main run here, that way. So this is obviously there's parking and access there, but it's designed to kind of come this way. Sorry.
Okay.
My apologies, I got oriented the wrong way, so.
Okay.
Yes, you're correct.
As I was looking at the architecture.
Yeah, you're right, you're right. My
It seemed
apologies.
like on the east side was more of the
Yes,
service access into the kitchen
Yeah.
and deliveries and that kind of thing.
yes, no, you're correct. My apologies, I got
Okay.
mistakenly oriented. So this,
The east side where the gate will be, is that where the gate is, you said it was gated?
No, no.
yeah, I was just looking for
That's not true.
I was looking for the long side of the amenities
We would need
there.
the overall site plan.
Yeah, I'll go back to that, yeah.
East side's gated, right?
So,
East side.
Yeah.
so the,
Over here.
Yeah, number two.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Or number three.
over by number 3, that's where the gate is.
That's
You would go
continental,
through
yeah.
to go into the apartments.
Yes.
So that all the development to the south and west is the apartments, and that's a gated area, fenced gated area. And the access into that area is only where number 3 is on the site plan. The one on the north, way up there by 38, number 4, is just a secondary ingress and egress. But it's also gated.
And as Mrs. Padden referenced, their spring product on Smith Road here in town,
Yeah.
the city council did require the gate to be open during certain time frames. I don't recall what those time frames were, but I believe it was during
8 to 6.
Yeah, and it's mostly because of deliveries, because of school-age children, things like that. And I would assume that there'd be the same requirement if you move forward, but they were amenable to that, and the fencing would probably be consistent with what's out there, which I believe is a black aluminum open-faced fence.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm. Any other questions from commissioners?
I did have one other comment.
Please.
Just regarding the independent living, assisted living memory care facility. Some of us may recall that we recently reviewed another facility kind of on the edge of town, that would require significantly more utilities and kind of out away from other amenities. I just personally feel that for that area of the market, that this is a good location for the community. It is clearly in need. As demographics do shift, there is a demand and need. My only question on the independent living aspect of it, is there like kitchenettes or kitchens in those facilities, or are they required to eat in a dining hall? I'm just curious kind of if it's truly like a full step up or if it's kind of a hybrid.
Yeah, so typically our independent living requires a meal plan, so it's a kind of an all-inclusive rate that includes 1 to 3 meals a day based on the community. Typically it's a continental breakfast plus a dinner. But they also will have full kitchens in the units, so they don't have to participate, but they're paying for it, so most of them do.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Are pets allowed with people in independent living?
Yeah, yes, pets are allowed.
Okay, all right. And in a couple of the images you showed earlier, it looked like one of the courtyards in the image had a pool, but I didn't see that represented here. Is that more of a southern kind of amenity?
We have one with a pool. It's in Florida, so get a little more use out of that year round. But yeah,
just curious. I realize it's
we're 2 months in. We'll see if we do it again elsewhere.
Understand.
Yep.
Please.
In reviewing all the packet that we had, I agree with all the staff comments. I'm sure that those are boxes you hope to check moving forward. And Mr. Dempsey, you had said that the goal of this is to help residents capture a vision for St. Charles. Even though it might be slightly out of Plan Commission purview, but it's one of those visions is the affordable housing. And so I implore you to continue pursuit of that in the IHO compliance, because that will really check a box that we need here in St. Charles. Yeah.
And that message, and I know you've worn plenty of hats in this community before, so appreciate all your service. That message was clearly passed along. The staff's been phenomenal working with us, trying to come up with a way to see if we can have this truly be one of those dynamic projects that actually achieves
Wonderful.
kind of what the intention was all those years ago. So we are on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good comment.
I had some general comments and some questions related to the staff report and some of the approaches that you're taking. Overall, I like the uses, and the densities don't really bother me as one measure of a project. The Traditions is about at 23 DUs an acre, and the Springs at about 14, with an average of 16. So, I mean, the apartments on the east side that were originally developed by Amley, I think, are close to 18 to 19 net. So, again, you know, I think there's a lot to say about density, but also about site planning. And I guess I have some questions and some concerns related to the site planning. And I understand given the information from Traditions as part of the submittal, that you're identifying you need about 137 parking spaces and about 140 are proposed. So that seems to track, but I'm a little surprised compared to our requirements for the Springs. You're about 100 over, and is there? Do you guys have data that supports that need?
We do. So we have a lot of data on our parking. So based on our national portfolio, the sweet spot for Springs is a 1.75, and that typically accommodates our guests, you know, the residents, their guests, and snow. So we typically try to achieve that 1.75 at a minimum. So we're slightly over that here, but we feel that it's going to be adequately parked, not over parked. We definitely don't want to see of concrete and asphalt. We like to, you know, maximize our green space as much as we can, but at the same time, we know what we need operationally.
Right. And like I say, it was more than what we require as a community and zoning ordinance, and so I was just trying to understand if there's data. I mean, some people want less, and you know, than our ordinance requires, but then they have supporting data, you know, and so you guys feel that you need that from a, you know, analysis standpoint on how you guys operate.
We do, yeah. I mean, for example, our Springs at St.Charles, I believe, is at about 1.85 stalls per home. So it's in line with what we know we're already parking at our sister community.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've talked a little bit about the inclusionary housing, and I think that that is something that I would appreciate your continued effort to work on that. I think there's some discussion regarding the school district and your approach, and so Traditions, you've identified that that you want to not have the allowance for the independent, and I would say that for me, I think the deed restriction, and I think I'll let you work that out with staff and our attorney and the appropriate people at the district. I think they would want to understand that there is a deed restriction. And in fairness to them, I think that kind of thing is appropriate. And so we welcome feedback from the district and if you guys move forward in a preliminary fashion, I'm sure they'll want to submit something or have discussions not only with staff but with yourselves on that.
Yeah, and we intend to agree to the deed restriction. We've done that elsewhere, so.
Okay. All right. And then I would say on the site plan for the Traditions, I was a little concerned about how the front of the building creates an entry or an arrival, independent of EMS or EMT services, kind of a thing, because you have to drive through the parking lot to get there, and it doesn't feel like quite an arrival when you have to drive through the parking lot to be able to pull up so that the driver is not on the side of the building. And I was wondering if you guys could, as you look at this further, kind of look at a way to kind of create a little more of a significant arrival, rather than right now kind of driving through. Because I think what will happen is people won't immediately, even with signage, your intuition is to head towards the front of the building, which will mean you'll come south on that driveway, assuming you come off at 38.
Right.
You'll come south off that driveway, and you'll look for, let's say, your canopy or other markers, and the next thing you know, you realize you're kind of pulling up to the, to the wrong side, where the driver is on the inside versus the passenger. And so I was just wondering if you guys could take another look at that. Understand you're looking for a particular parking count, but there's also some parking, looks like along some of these driveways on the west side as you continue further south to make, that maybe that's employee parking or, however you're utilizing that. But I think that would be just something to consider with respect to that.
Yeah, we've discussed, and we're going to give a good look at possibly some long linear islands and barriers to make it more prominent and flow better. But yes, understood.
Yeah, I mean, you have, I'll let my architectural friend be more critical of this, but I think overall you have some, a handsome looking building.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have a large canopy to pull up underneath, for residents if they're going somewhere. If you have a van or a bus that's going to take a group of people somewhere, that's a great feature, but it just seems the circulation doesn't seem to support it, very well currently.
Yeah, understood. And it probably wants to be along this triangle here a little bit more, perhaps. I was kind of outlining the broader thing, but this probably makes, in looking back at some of our representative photos, that's kind of, kind of the approach we've taken, so.
Sure. Okay. And probably the last item I wanted to ask you about, and I think Jeff kind of touched on a little bit earlier, is the idea of open space, circulation, and the park. And open space from the standpoint of not only open space that private residents use, but also the idea that there is a park that people can come and visit, as well as, I think there's a pretty notable tradition and request and expectation in St. Charles related to parks for people and open space for people. And through the way property develops, the location that you are, there are always pros and cons. I mean, you have the pro of your relationship to retail and other kind of residential uses is convenient to a certain level, but also it's isolated. I mean, there's literally no way to connect to any open space or any path system from this property. Zero. If you don't get the easement from Prairie Winds to cross into their property, you have no way to get down to the trail that actually is owned and managed by the Geneva Park District on Brisher Road, which can take you east and west. But if you take the path that runs along 38, you end at 38 in Randall and have nowhere to go. So there's no connection to anything, no other open space, there's no other park that anyone connect to. Based on the land cash sheets, you're going to end up with, assuming these are all correct, 36 school-age children and about 670 adults who are, I would say, active adults, including the people in Independence, as well as all of the residents in the Springs. And on the east side, while that was a very challenging site from a civil engineering standpoint to address all of the overflow water that comes from the north and east, that was no simple task. But you did end up with a path system that connected to existing parks via other trails to the north, and you ended up with a small park on the north side, right along Couts. But I see virtually nothing on this site that represents recreational opportunities or places for people who want open space to go. They literally will have to get in their car or take their bikes somewhere because there's no way for them to take a trail or another bike path and get anywhere. And I think that your land cash on the Park District is 1.4 mil or 5.8 acres. Well, 5.8 out of 29 is a lot. So I doubt that that's probably reality, though I'm sure the Park District would love that. But I think that at a minimum, there ought to be about 2 acres of park space as part of this project. When you have 670 people plus school-age children, realizing at 36 school-age kids probably don't need much of a playground system for that, but there ought to be opportunities to do that without having to go get in your car to go somewhere. And I think that there's a lot of conversation. I think we've done, in the last few years, we've approved bike path systems and things like that. So there is a lot of focus, not only at the community level from the city, but certainly from the Park District. If you look at their comp plan and you look at the data that they collect, open space and connections are one of the key things that people want, and right now, new residents aren't going to get that in this project. So I realize you said, and it was noted in the staff report, that you're looking at some off-site property options. Not sure what that means, but I understand that you need to work on that. I think you'd be hard-pressed to get a thumbs up from the Park District with this plan at all. I realize that we, the City of St. Charles, approve a final site plan, but I think that if we, the city, approve this site plan, it isn't in keeping with what the city has done and expected of people and developers in the past. So I'm not really sure how to solve that other than to ask you to really work hard at that. I think for a couple of examples of the kind of parks for scale, there's Lincoln Park, and these are all in St. Charles, 1.6 acres. Bakerfield at 2.3, Keogh at 1.5, and Moody at 1.8. So you can see the kind of things that are available in a variety of those parks. They're all on website. Go visit them if you have time. But I think those are the kind of things that I think are relevant and needed when you're going to add 670 adults to our community. And so I hope that you can do that. If you can, I think it'd be great if you could get a little chunk from the property to the west, realizing that that's the judicial center and stuff, and those guys are maybe a little prickly to work with, but there's a really nice stand of oak trees right at the northwest corner of your property, just west of the property line, and I think that'd be a great way to add a park, would be to pick up those oak trees. I'm not sure what their plans are for the rest of their property, but we'll see. The other thing I would ask is, Jeff mentioned, and I think that a path around, understanding grading is grading, understand that. And I see you have Spaceco and Brett back there, so I know he understands this extremely well. But I think a path system would go a long way also to this. And I don't know if you're showing a bluish green area because it's going to be detention, or is it going to be retention? Not sure how that's going to work out. I'm sure that's also a mass breeding problem that you need to sort out. But I think that I would agree with Commissioner Funk that a path around there would be great, understanding you still have to deal with bounce and all that stuff, and those are just realities. I would also ask that you give some serious consideration to a strong evaluation of your wetland, and if it is not a very high quality wetland on a project of this scale, maybe think about getting rid of it and moving some of your detention there to free up some space to do other things. And either, I don't know what the rules are now, but if it's not a high quality wetland, it might be worth getting rid of it. If you look at the aerials, all the drainage heads to the west-southwest into another detention pond. I'm no expert, but it doesn't look too great, but, you know, I'll let somebody with all the right background, you know, help you with that. All right, and I'm sure Brett knows people who can help with that kind of topic. I wish you luck with your full access on Route 38 with IDOT. That should be fun. And, you know, I don't know what they're going to require of you based on if you want a full access and the relationship to the other driveways and the signalized intersection. I'm sure they have lots of rules regarding all that. and so, but like I said, I think that overall there's nothing wrong with the product and the density. The zoning change to an R3 or RM3 to me doesn't seem too out of, you know, whack, especially given the project that's already developed to the south. And so I don't think that's a big deal. PUD, sure. There's a lot of reasons to do it. I would ask that, given some of the comments and stats that staff has provided related to setbacks and all of that stuff, that you come back with a robust and aggressive landscape plan when you're ready to prepare that. Because it seems like you're short on some setbacks and relationships that I think are super important. I mean, probably less between the two buildings from my perspective, but as it relates to buffering the mire and the loading dock and the service area, not much of a view from my perspective. And candidly, the 5 or 6 foot fence around their detention pond is even less interesting. I'm sure they have a good reason for that from a liability standpoint, but I'm sure it would go a long way if you could get rid of it, but I doubt that that's really possible, because those units and stuff that are in that area don't have really much of an exciting view. But those are things that I would ask for you to work on, and I think that the project, you know, could be a very nice project and a very nice fit and help in a lot of the ways that you've outlined related to assisting the existing businesses and retail and contributing to those things. So I hope you'll come back. But thank you. Anybody else? John?
I'm good.
Corey?
I love it.
No? All right.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make one last comment on the entry portico share that you have. I think, you know, your architect should do some more work on that. It doesn't look like it's, you know, a suitable entrance for, you know, a building of this size. So I would take a look at that front elevation again on the senior housing project, and then work on, like Commissioner Bargulich said, work on, you know, if you look at the site circulation, you see the, you know, this like maze of sidewalks. I think it would be, you know, it would be beneficial to the project if you can create that pathway and, you know, more curvilinear pathways and connecting the buildings to the parklands, to the, I know the detention is what you say, it's not accessible, but I think you can work that out, and then making the community center integral to that pathway system. You know, I mean, you have some great opportunities here, and I do like the opportunity for this project and the density, and I think you know, I think there still needs to be more work completed on it. So, thank you for coming in.
And we appreciate your time, and Commissioner, thank you for helping to point out how challenging several of these sites are. This one in particular, we understand that you know, your role in this community is to help guide this process, and we want to be a good corporate neighbor to and with the park district and school district and everybody else. So we appreciate your time. We will work diligently to see if we can. I don't know if we can solve or get some land to the west, but we'll do what we can to attempt to address all of these concerns and bring them back.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so before we conclude this item, I don't know if there's anybody from the public that wishes to speak. That is part of our concept plan review process. Nobody? All right. Save that for the preliminary plan, public hearing, no worries. All right, well, that will conclude item 5. Again, this plan and project will be on the agenda for the Committee of the Whole on March 16th at 7 p.m. On the item 6, 7 Brew Coffee. This is an application for PUD preliminary plan and minor subdivision final plat submitted by Who Brew, Illinois, LLC, as part of Lot 7 of the Prairie Center PUD. There's not a public hearing required, and we'll begin with staff.
Thank you. This proposal is on the westernmost portion of the Prairie Center outlot along Route 38. Proposes development of a drive-through coffee shop called 7 Brew. Approval of a PUD preliminary plan is required due to the property's location in the Prairie Center PUD. Re-subdivision is also needed to create a lot for the project. There are a few staff comments listed in the staff report that need to be resolved, mostly relating to landscaping and signage. So a recommendation for approval should be contingent on resolution of staff comments. And a follow-up item about sidewalks. Back in January, this group reviewed plans for the Gardner School on the eastern end of the Prairie Center outlot. Planning Commission recommended requiring sidewalk along Route 38. Council committee later agreed, and sidewalk will be provided along 38 for the Gardner School and will be required in connection with each outlot as they're developed. The plans for 7 Brew do include a sidewalk along 38. Staff has been working with the developer of Prairie Center, Shodine, on locating the sidewalk, and decided that the sidewalk can be on private property as opposed to within the IDOT right-of-way to avoid IDOT permit and engineering modifications within the parkway. So there will need to be public sidewalk easement over the sidewalk, and that is shown on the plat of re-subdivision for this project.
How wide will the sidewalk be?
7 feet.
Okay, thank you.
And I can turn it over to the applicant now.
Please, thank you.
Good evening. Thank you very much for everyone's time this evening. My name is Chris George. I'm the VP of Development for Who Brew LLC. We are a franchisee of 7 Brew Drive-Thru Coffee. The territories we have are the Chicagoland area, Northwest Indiana, Nashville, Tennessee, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Oh, here we go. Perfect. As I mentioned earlier, Who Brew IL3 LLC is the applicant and petitioner tonight. Location is Prairie Center, northeast corner of Lincoln Highway at the Jewel entrance, that right in, right out. Lot size with the re-subdivision is 0.85 acres. It is currently vacant land today as part of the Prairie Center larger development. Proposed use is 7 Brew drive-through coffee stand. Existing zoning is actually a split zoning, BR regional business and BC community business, and part of a PUD. And approvals we're seeking is the application for PUD preliminary plan and application for a minor subdivision final plat. A little bit about 7 Brew as a concept. First stand was located in Rogers, Arkansas, the northwest Arkansas, just outside of Bentonville. There's currently over 600 stands nationwide, and is one of the fastest growing QSR concepts nationwide as well. It is a double drive-through concept, drive-through only with walk-up service offered. There's no indoor service or seating at the stand. Everything inside the stand is for making beverages, as it is a primarily beverage menu. There's no speaker box at our concept as well. We have our team members outside in the drive-through lanes on iPads, walking up to the customer's driver's side window, taking orders there, similar to what you might see at a Portillo's or some Chick-fil-A's in the Chicagoland area. What we found is this helps with order accuracy, as well as just creating an overall friendly, better environment for our customers, making them want to come back. Entire concept is really emphasis on speed, thus the drive-through focus, and creating high energy, fun, friendly environment for our customers. Operating hours Sunday through Thursday is 5:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. On Fridays and Saturdays, we are open until 11 p.m. A little bit about our menu. Mentioned earlier, it's a primarily beverage-focused menu. We do have one prepackaged muffin that we serve. It comes individually packaged from our food provider. It comes in 3 different flavors, chocolate chip, blueberry, or plain. Everything else is a beverage. Those are espresso-based coffee drinks, chillers, teas, infused energy drinks, smoothies, and shakes. There's actually over 20,000 unique drink options that you can create with all of our various syrups and sugar-free syrups. Very popular with the younger demographic on TikTok and Instagram. Customize and make their own drinks. It's not uncommon to see customers pull up, flash a picture of their phone, snapshot it of a TikTok or an Instagram saying, I would like this drink because I saw it online. Here's a copy of our plat of subdivision showing the subdivision for the lot in Prairie Center, as well as an aerial picture roughly outlining the location. As you can see, the Jewel Shopping Center just to the northwest of us, and the right in, right out just on the page left side of that red box, and then the full access point at Wright Boulevard to the page right. Picture of existing conditions today. As I mentioned earlier, it's just a vacant grass field as part of the larger Prairie Center development. Larger zoomed out site plan showing the subdivision lot lines. We're taking the western portion of that. I realize Route 38 runs at an angle, so kind of on the northwest there. Want to point out the 2 access points to the shopping center, the right in, right out on page left. That's also shared with the Jewel Shopping Center, and then further on page right, there is a full access at Route 38 and Wright Boulevard, and then cross-access drive on private drive to get to the shopping center as well. Also wanted to point out the sidewalk that was mentioned earlier in the staff report along Route 38 that is on private property and is 7 feet in width. Here's a more zoomed in picture of our site plan. Our just over 1,100 square foot building and a counterclockwise orientation of our double drive-through. Want to point out at the upper page left the bailout lane in case someone gets stuck inside the drive-through lanes. We don't have a traditional bailout lane here. If someone wanted to get out, that's an opportunity for them to get out at that time. This drive-through queue showing 27 cars in this configuration right here, as well as a total of 19 parking spaces, 18 spaces and 1 ADA space. All the parking is to the south, cross-access drive aisle from east to west to the south of our building, and then that shared spine road between the 2 parcels from the subdivision as well. Here's our landscape plan for this location. There are some comments from staff in the staff report. We fully intend on complying with those. My design team is currently working on updating that to be in full compliance. Renderings of our building for this location here. And then wanted to point out the signage and elevations as well. I know also signage was something that was called out as staff comments. We're only allowed one sign per elevation. We will be modifying that. My team's currently working on that. We'll be removing the sign on the bottom part of the building. This is the front of the building facing Route 38. The chevron arrows and drive-through coffee sign will be eliminated as part of that comment to be in compliance. Here's a picture of the rear of the building. This is the drive-through side of the building, or the west side is called out in the staff report. Same comment here about having one too many signs. We will remove the chevron arrows and drive-through coffee sign to be in compliance. My team's currently working on updating those as well. As you can notice here, there's 2 sliding glass doors. The further page left will service lane 1. The further to the right will service lane 2 to allow for our team members to walk out across of lane 1 in a safe manner in front of that stopped car for safety for our team members. And then a picture of the non-drive-through service side. There's another sliding glass doors there as well. So if there is walk-up service, this is where our team members who are located in the drive-through lanes, like I mentioned earlier, where they can come, place an order with a team member in a safe spot, clear from all the drive-through circulation as well. Material color board, and some more specifics on the signage that I mentioned earlier as well. And then I want to jump back to the site plan because it was also mentioned in the staff report. Fully want to acknowledge Naperville was our first location opened in the Chicago land area. was also one of the first locations that we opened as a franchisee of 7 Brew drive-thru coffee. At that time, the nation recommendation was to provide drive-thru queuing of 12 to 15 cars. We provided 23 cars at the Naperville location. I think everyone's very well aware of the popularity that Naperville had, being the first location in the Chicagoland area. We've worked closely with KLA traffic engineers as we've grown in the Chicagoland area. They've done data and studies around our drive-thru queue. There was a memo put together that was shared not only with the master developer for Prairie Town Center as well as staff, showing a conservative peak queue of 34 cars. We also worked out a plan from an overflow standpoint that there could reach up to an additional 15 cars on the site without impacting any of the adjacent sites to reach a total of 42 cars. That got us all comfortable, myself, the property owner who has this under contract to purchase, the master developer, and staff. Some additional items that we've agreed to with the master developer is identifying a few locations in the parking stalls for large orders to keep that drive-thru queue moving in the event there is a large order slowing down the flow of the queue. Those would be the direct 3 locations to the south of the building. Also, during opening times, we're committed to hiring additional third-party traffic control and bring on additional team members to help move the flow of traffic as quick as possible during those early peak times, as well as forcing everyone to exit out the page left side and forcing everyone to exit out the right in, right out exit point as well to not allow for additional traffic circulating through the rest of the development. Additionally, since Naperville has opened, queues have regressed pretty significantly. That was our first location open in the Chicagoland area. We currently have 10 locations open today. There are 2 more that are currently in training with operations, which should be open before the end of the month. We have an additional 6 locations that are actively under construction today. There are 13 additional locations that are already fully entitled in various stages of the permit review process, and 17 additional locations in the entitlement stage, which includes St. Charles. Forecasting the St. Charles location to be approximately our 25th location open in the Chicagoland area. We've seen major moves on the traffic data that we've seen from location 1 to where we are at 10 locations open, and our traffic engineer put in that memo that they continue to see that trend decreasing in peak queue, so we feel comfortable with the queue that we're proposing today. As far as proximate locations to St. Charles, Naperville is the current closest open location. I'm happy to share, as of yesterday evening, we are now fully entitled in Warrenville and Wheaton, as well as our Bloomingdale location will be opening before the end of the month. A second location in Bloomingdale is currently under construction as well. We feel with those locations being added, we feel comfortable with the queue that we're proposing today. I appreciate everyone's time this evening and happy to answer any questions around the 7 Brew drive-thru coffee petition.
How many employees would be there at peak?
At peak, there's usually about 10 to 12.
10 to 12, okay. So that would take up a fair amount of your parking.
Correct.
Now, you said you had a walk-up?
It's primarily a drive-through concept. We usually don't promote our walk-up service. In working with staff at this site, it was important to them that we offered that walk-up component, so I did want to call that out. But it is primarily a drive-through concept, and typically our parking is just for our team members at that time, so we feel comfortable with the 19 provided stalls there.
Okay. Given this location and the goal of the Prairie Center is to have a fair amount of people that live there, including buildings probably directly to the north of you, in theory. So you might get walk-up traffic, or you might have apartments across the way that would have walk-up traffic. So I was just curious whether you would add a patio for those walk-up people, or might be a little bit down the road, but if the sidewalk system gets completed across your 38 frontage, it will now then connect to residents that are further to the east from you. And as the city continues to want to promote alternative uses that are not auto-centric, nothing against you, that I think that maybe a patio could be added. You certainly have some green space that could be given.
Absolutely. There is a lot of green space. We actually have a stub of additional pavement there, hardscape, because we've been talking to staff about adding an outdoor table or an opportunity to engage that aspect as well.
Yeah. I think it would, a little more, whether it has a canopy over it, or a few more trees. I think those are things that would encourage people to come over and just have a few, and maybe post a little bit on whatever it is. Instagram, is that what it is?
Whatever was popular at that time, right?
I don't do that thing. But.
Yeah, I know one of the staff's landscape comments was to add a couple of trees in close proximity to the building, whether in the foundation plantings within a certain distance. We're working on complying with that request as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does Seven Brew use a pre-order process like a Starbucks at all?
We do not. This has actually been kind of a hot topic with Seven Brew Corporate. What they've found in their studies and investigating it is that it actually slows down the throughput of the drive-through. So I know they're actively trying to figure out a way to make that work, but at this time, that's what they've conveyed to us, and one does not exist.
So everybody going through would just order and then process and out?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
I appreciate the Mr. Chair's comment about the patio. We have on the east side Andy's Ice Cream or whatever it's called, and it's a similar thing. There's no inside seating, and you walk up, and the patio in the right kind of weather is usually full. And so I think that I was glad to hear that recommendation was made. It's already on your radar. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, I would echo that, whether it's table, benches. Andy's is a great example. Actually, I was going to make the similar comparison. That demographic group is very popular with all ages, but also teenagers and, as you said, young people out of your market area, as well as the residents there. They might want to walk over. I'd also would like to see maybe a bike rack included. I could see people biking over there from Geneva to the east and other residential neighborhoods, in the general area. I do have one question about your architectural design. Will you be proposing the LED light banding that you have in Naperville?
So it is proposed, but I know there are requirements. I believe staff made a comment, and I apologize if I butcher this. I believe it's only allowed for a 60-day time frame from November 15th to January 15th.
Yes, that's correct. So we allow that sort of essentially for holiday lights. So if that lighting is installed on this building, it can only be on during those 2 months.
So my intention would be to only have it on at that time and comply.
And then just from a architectural standpoint, it looks like you're using a full depth masonry brick on this. Oh, nice.
That's the intention, yes.
Okay. I think otherwise, others have addressed my other comments.
Great. Thank you.
I do appreciate the use of brick and masonry throughout the building, and the fact that you have a parapet that's high enough to hide the rooftop unit. A couple questions for me is, I know that the Naperville, my daughter actually drives out there a lot, so I'm glad that you're actually building one close here because it's going to save me on gas money.
He is one of the 60% of our business there when we opened that was coming from a distance of 10 miles or greater away, yes.
My question is that they talk about having, you have a special, Naperville had, they banned the special or some?
Correct, yeah. The backstory there was, because of the popularity, I was actively meeting with Ted there as well as the city manager and the mayor in trying to opt out of the promotions. Technically, if we did not participate in the promotions, we were in default of our franchise agreement with corporate, and it took some convincing, but we were finally able to convince them to allow us to opt out of those promotions.
And are you going to have that here, any of those promotions?
As of right now, we are not actively promoting them. If someone shows up, we do not want to alienate our customers who might be getting served ads from Seven Brew Corporate. They ship us the items anyway. We will honor it, but we have not been advertising them as how that's been handled.
And the reason was that because it created so much traffic, right, that they're actually backing them?
Yeah, and our expectation, obviously, I can't foresee the future, is as we have 25-plus locations open, that demand gets spread out a lot more, and hopefully that there's an opportunity where we can actually promote those promotions as well like a lot of the other franchisees across the nation are. But as of right now, we would love to continue to work with staff like we have in Naperville and other areas to make sure that we're doing everything we can to be a good steward to the community.
Okay. And then I guess when do you see this getting built, getting finished?
My desire would be early fall, late summer. Okay. We want to move as quickly as we can. I'm definitely counting this being a 2026 opening.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? No? All right. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for item number 6, 7 Brew Coffee, part of Lot 7, Prairie Center, PUD, Hubru, Illinois, LLC, the approval, pending all staff comments.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the PUD plan and minor subdivision for Hubru, Illinois 3 LLC, part of Lot 7 of the Prairie Center PUD, plus the resolution of all staff comments. Roll call. We have Zach Ewald.
Yes.
Jeff Funk.
Yes.
Gary Gruber.
Yes.
John Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Corey Jones.
Yes.
Rita Payleitner.
Yes.
Myself, yes. All right, thank you. That completes
Thank you.
item 7. Appreciate it. Good luck. Public comment? Nope. All right. Item 8, additional business. Next meeting, Ellen? Will be on March 17th? Seriously?
I think we'll be canceling that meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ellen.
Mr. Jeff, just a quick comment, if you don't mind.
Yes.
It became evident when I looked over the plans how the sidewalk issue got resolved. And I hope that it wasn't interpreted by my comments that night. I felt like I was being kind of crabby, and I apologize. But that I'm not anti-sidewalk. That wasn't the point. My point was that I want us to be a city of keeping their word, and that includes the agreements of a PUD. And all that to say, I want to, thank staff for their creativity and the developer for cooperation in getting that done. So that's awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well said.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
St. Charles Planning Commission adjourned 8:22. Thank you.